You can make money when the stock market going down. Explain.
Yes, please.
So he got to breaking it down to me, and I'm like, nah, you can't do that. Um, so he was like, I watched this guy on YouTube, and now I ended up checking the guy out and taking some of the courses. I ain't gonna say spent $15 to learn how to trade stocks. You can make money when the stock market go down.
Aha. So I just want to come on here and just talk about stocks, crypto. We brushed the surface that one time that we were talking, and I would really want to dig deep into it because that's something that I don't know too much about, but I love learning bits and pieces about it every day. So my first question that I have for you is how did you find your way into investing into stock market?
Well, just to be flat out honest with you, all my life I've been intrigued with the stock market and just didn't really understand how to get into it. And then, because really, like my mom used to watch the news, and I would see the stock ticker going across the bottom,
Hmm.
and I would ask, "What are those numbers? What is that?" They don't really know. Ask other people, teachers and stuff like that. They don't really know. This
Mhm.
is pre-internet being widely available. So my go-to was encyclopedias and dictionaries.
Oh man.
It didn't give
Oh
you a whole lot
man.
of information, right? So it's kind of like the barrier was kind of hard to get into it.
Mhm.
So what really started to pique my interest was I was working and the company I was working for, they had just taken away the pension plans. And which I was in management at the time. And we got to talking about getting vested into companies and how this company was doing the stocks and everything for that particular company. And I'm like, and at the time, Robinhood was really starting to take off. So that was my first venture right there. I went and downloaded Robinhood. This was what, maybe 2010,
Yeah,
maybe.
I want to say around that time, I definitely remember that time.
And like their commercials was everywhere. So I downloaded the app, just don't know anything. They got a little bit of information on the app. So I got a few stocks, fractional shares, I should say. I didn't just buy whole stocks because they were already offering like the fractional shares. And I held them. Didn't know anything else. So a little bit of time go by. I'm looking at it like every other day. Then it starts to go green. I'm getting a little excited. I'm looking at it every day.
Yeah.
So I forget what happened in the world, but something happened and we had a little bit of an economic downturn. So my green went to red. And one thing that I said I gotta make a point whenever you reached out to me is nowadays people are always talking about, hey, I lost money in the stock market, which I know you got money in the stock market. Have you
Yeah.
lost any money in the stock market?
Well, see, here's the thing. I think we're really about to come to the same point. And mind you, this is for the people. Having spoken about this, I don't think that it's necessarily lost. I think we
Exactly.
were definitely about to converge on the same point. I don't think that it's lost. Go
Exactly.
ahead, finish that thought.
And I said I gotta make sure I make this point.
Mhm.
You don't lose money in the stock market until you sell. Because it's what you call realized gains and unrealized gains, unrealized losses, realized losses. You
Mhm.
realize that loss when they sell. So it's like, so again, back to when I was growing up, hey, the stock market lost so many billions of dollars. Nowadays it's trillions of dollars in value. And if the stock market went up, hey, the stock market is up by so many points. It's they say all this stuff and it's very misleading. But just in actuality, if you hadn't sold your stock, you ain't lost no money. So
Right.
I hadn't lost a dime. But back to my story, I was saying that piqued my interest. And like I said, it went red, and I waited a few months, and I got back about to break even. Then I sold. Then I ended up downloading Acorn,
I remember Acorn too.
and same thing. At this time, the cannabis stocks were really taking off. So I dabbled in that right there. Kind of same situation. But what really got me into the trenches is my homeboy B Mac. He asked me, he was like, "You got some money in the stock market?" Which I did. I got something in there. I was like, "Man, I don't do too much with it. Some days it's green, some days it's red. I don't know much about it."
Right.
And he was like, "Man, did you know that you can make money on the way down?" I'm like, "Do what?" Just antennas went up. You can make money when the stock market going down. Explain.
Yes, please.
So he got to breaking it down to me, and I'm like, "Nah, you can't do that." So he was like, "I watched this guy on YouTube, and now I ended up checking the guy out and taking some of the courses. Spent I ain't gonna say spent it was $15 a month, and that was another thing that piqued my interest. It's like $15 to learn how to trade stocks. I'm like, Shh, that's nothing. But you can make money when the stock market go down. It's called a hedge. You can short the market. It's a lot of little intricate things that you can do to make money in the stock market. So with that being said, that right there is what took me to 1000% into it. And that's what started me on my journey. And pretty much from that point on, every day I've been dedicated to learning something new. And that was 2023. So now, fast forward now to 2025, this is a totally new landscape, which we can get a little bit more into that. But there and then, that was a bull market. So investing was quite easy.
Mhm.
Now we're right on the cusp of a bear market, and investing is a little bit more different. Now, you got to be a little bit more strategic. But just realistically, hey, my grandma and my mama watching the news, they got me in the stock market because I was just I don't know if you ever had that experience because nowadays they don't do that on the news, or do people even watch the news anymore?
So for me, I saw it on the news. I didn't know anything too much about it, but what really piqued my interest was on Yahoo. They'd have it go across Yahoo. This is back when everybody used Yahoo for mail. You'd show it because it showed at the top because it was Yahoo Finance. And when I got my first iPod Touch, they had the stocks app. And I got to look it in the air and got to reading about that. And I'm like, okay. That's what got me fascinated, which I don't think I got into it until I think I was in college when I started just hearing more and more people saying that you need to invest. It's not doing anything sitting in your savings account. Meanwhile, you think you're doing very good putting money in your savings and you're getting a couple pennies each month.
Right.
I really got started, I would say, sophomore or so in college and started off with Robinhood, which Robinhood, I don't even think they had an application back in when they first came out, but I remember Robinhood and Acorns was super huge, and I really got into it, I would say, in college. So in my early 20s, started just going for it. Still learning to this day, all the stuff, and it's it's still intriguing every day. Seriously, I will read stuff, find stuff, and come across things like the guy who made Investopedia and other people that are trying to make it
That's
easiest for
my
the people.
that's my go-to right there,
Yeah,
Investopedia.
I will read him and in my search, I will read through them, and then I'm like, hold on, it was my barber. I don't even think we were talking about the stock market. I think I was asking Kevin about how he was doing, and my barber right over my head, he was like, hey man, you see this? He put the phone over my head. He's like, have you seen this? I was like, oh, it's called Stock Analysis. Have you heard of that website?
I hadn't heard that one now.
Oh my goodness, Stock Analysis. Here, since we're on Zoom, Stock Analysis. This is a company. Of course, they give you like bite-sized access to what they really have. So this is something that a lot of people could benefit from. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Let's see. Can you, oh, I got to open my system settings. Let me see. Zoom, yes. Right. Oh, I can't do it. But I have to quit the call and do it again. But stock analysis, you can look up whatever. For an example, you can look up Apple and it will give you a whole analysis. It'll give you a chart. It'll give you everything that a finance site will give you. market cap, all that good stuff, forecasts, stats, stuff like that. And it'll tell you about dividends. Does it pay out every 3 months? Does it pay out annually? And it'll give you an analysis at the end that's basically just one word. It'll say buy, hold, or sell. And I'm like, my goodness, this is golden. And so let me see. Companies like that and things like that have been around for a really long time. It's just getting it, getting to it, my thing. So when we began talking about stocks, I got really excited because it's fun when you have a group and network of people that are, hey, did you look into blah blah blah? Did you see this? Hey, I got blah blah blah. Or hey, I was part of ABC when they split into three. So, oh, I love it. I had to get you on here and just talk, just figure out strategy and stuff like that because
Strategy,
um,
yeah.
it's golden. It doesn't cost us a thing to maybe spark somebody else's interest, and then from there we can all win.
Oh yeah. Let me say this disclaimer. I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
This is strictly my opinion. I'm just a guy on YouTube or wherever this may be seen at. This is
Mhm.
no way financial advice. Not
Oh,
telling
for
nobody to
sure.
buy, hold, or sell. And definitely want to send a shout out to the sponsors, the Real Nut Deal, NX
Mhm.
Health. But hey, when it comes to stocks, this is what I do. Real simple, which I do a lot more, but this right here is, hey, a lot of people don't have time. Say, for instance, you got a lot of different things going on.
Mhm.
You may not spend 30 minutes a day like I do in the stock market or hour or whatever.
Mhm.
You got to get a good broker. Like Robinhood, that's a trash broker. It is what it is. If your broker don't have a PE ratio available, he was just saying the forecast, the fair value. If they don't have a kind of a breakdown of the shareholders, the 52-week high and low, I just look at those couple things right there, and that's how. Hey, I'm gonna look at
Mhm.
this company, or because when you look at the PE ratio, you want a good PE ratio. Most It varies depending on the sector, but a good number is between 13 and 45-ish. Anything above that is considered high for most sectors. It varies.
And for the people just getting into this or scrolling past this, or maybe they're still new to this, what is PE ratio?
PE ratio is earning.
Price.
So that's for every dollar that, well, it takes $30. For instance, they got a 30 PE ratio
Mhm.
for that company to make me $1. So you want that number you don't want it to be too low, and then you don't want it to be too high. So if you run across a company that's really, really high, that means it's taking a lot of dollars to make me, a stockholder, money. You don't want that. That means that the company is probably overpriced. Probably.
Just
Now, a lot of
jumps to
times
the game. That was golden. Thank you.
people will get into companies with high PE ratio because they're looking forward to the potential of the company, which is nothing wrong with that. But you just know that once if you got a high PE ratio, more than likely that company's going to be volatile, meaning that stock price is going to be up and down, up and down. And some people don't want that. Some people are just investors. I'm a trader. I'm an investor. I do a little bit of everything. And so you look at that PE ratio. Now, if it's a negative number, that means they ain't making money. Or if it says law, they
Yeah.
ain't making money. It's just that simple. And it's kind of one of those things. Hey, watch the video twice, watch it 3 times, take notes. It's really just that simple.
I
And
find
then,
myself doing that, watching over and over and over again, just people's talks and the things that they're finding and stuff like that, reading Investopedia over and over again. What were you saying?
but that, man, that right there, that's one of the first things I look at.
Mhm.
And then I look at, I said, the 52-week high
Mhm.
and the 52-week low. So now, mind you, when I said I really got deep into the game in 2023. So it was a bull market, just bull meaning that, hey, everybody is buying. The market is going good. Bears meaning people are selling. So when you looked at the PE ratio, excuse me, when you looked at the 52 weeks high and lows, then a lot of companies were closer to the highs.
Mhm.
Now you look at everything's close to the lows.
Yeah,
So it's like that's really when a lot of people want to get into the market is when it's at a 52-week low.
rightfully so.
Because hey, the stock market is going to go back to that 52-week
Right,
high.
right.
And that's a rolling number.
Mm.
So hey, it's companies that say, for instance, Palantir. I was in Palantir when it was $8. And it's like I looked at the 52-week low earlier today, and it's like $20. So that number is just steady churning up.
Up like that.
But I look at that, and one, say for instance, you do have a company that is close to the 52-week high. You want to buy at least a little bit when it's 10% down, which that's a 10% is a correction, 20% is a crash. That's something else I wanted to make sure I touched on too, because you hear all these people, man, the stock market is crashing. A crash is a 20% drop in a short period of time.
So you're saying
So
something like a 10% dip, it's normal. You say you get
so a dip is under 10%.
under 10.
That's normal. That's every day. But you may turn on the news or see or whatever,
Something
and
happened in the world, and now people are not investing like they would have, or purchasing like they would have, and so that influences the stock market, if I'm correct.
oh, definitely. That's why you want to have diversification in your portfolio. You want to have some bonds, you want to have some gold, you want to have some crypto, which we'll dig into crypto a little bit later. That's a totally different thing, but
Sorry,
you want
that's
to
a
have a little
whole
bit
other
of
conversation, crypto.
you want to have a little bit of diversification. So, and like I said, you can do what they call a hedge, or you can short. So there's what they call an inverse. So let's say for instance, you don't like Tesla and you wanna bet that it go down. They got an inverse stock of it that you can buy. So every time it go down, that inverse will go up. They have that with a lot of different stocks, a lot of different ETFs and everything. So it's like you can make money on the way down. Like I said, you can put a hedge against it in different ways. It's just kind of learning how to do it.
Or people are just getting into it. Say, I have my money, I'm looking to invest, find the right broker for you. And once you're in, whether it's an application or you're just going to the bank, you want to be able to have access to the 52-week, 52 and
It's
low,
week high and low, the PE
2 week high and
ratio.
low, and the PE ratio.
And you want to know, like I said, you want to know who the
Know who the shareholders are.
and the reason why on the shareholders, real quick and simple. You want to do what the big institutions are doing, not what they're saying. Because there a lot of times they'll say the total opposite of what they're doing. But it's a publicly traded company.
Right.
So they have to release forms on what
Have to
what they're
tell you
buying.
what they're doing and who's in there, who's holding what.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
And it's a little bit of a delay on it,
mhm,
but we know that, hey, BlackRock bought so much Bitcoin or whatever it may be. JP Morgan bought so much Ethereum.
right,
We know this because it's public record.
right. You see it. One of the places that you can see it, Yahoo Finance and plenty other places, stock analysis.
Exactly.
And it's wild. It's wild to me because a lot of jargon and a lot of big words are being used. But if you just open your mind and read at it, it becomes quite simple. And so that example being big institutions will, because we know that we can't predict tomorrow, Monday's highs and lows. We can't really predict it. We can, what's the word I'm looking for? We can speculate, but we can't definitively say, hey, this is going to do this on Monday. And so what I've seen big institutions do is they will put out all this stuff and get everybody to invest in this one place, and then it just goes down. But that place is no longer there. If you check, that place is no longer there. That thing, what happened? It was a place that GameStop and
Hmm.
what was the other, that one movie theater, AMC. So someone that's looking to safely invest, we got those three things: diversification, so not putting all your eggs in one basket, And looking at shareholders, that was key. Because when you told me that, that was something that I honestly wasn't doing. And I'm like, the dots are connecting. Once I started looking and seeing who was where, I was like, this is making sense. A lot of those big names, they invest just about everywhere. And it makes sense to go where they go because they know what they're doing. They pretty much have play money at this point to trade. It's almost monopoly money to them because they have whole teams of people that clock in, day out that will trade on their behalf. So I'm definitely keeping up with them and seeing what they are doing and following suit.
And you should your broker, like I use Moomoo. That's which honestly I got 7 different brokers, but the main one is Moomoo. And it breaks down the fair market value. It gives you the Morningstar, I believe is the one that they use, the Morningstar fair market value.
Mhm.
And if you look at, like I said, just real quick, that's just kind of a 5-minute thing that I do. Hey, am I going to trade this stock? Now, trading a stock and investing in a stock, two totally different things. And what you're doing is investing, which I'm a little bit older. I got to make up some ground. So I'm trading. That's where you make your money is by trading, buying something low, selling it high. You make
So,
your real
so
money
you're
when you get into
ah,
derivatives.
so what you're saying is you will catch it at a certain point of the day and basically get out of there before you
You
have
can
to
do
hold it
all
for a long time.
you can do
Ah,
it all automated. You can set your order in and say, let's just say, hey, I don't know what Apple is trading at right now, but let's just say, hey, I want to buy Apple at $180. You put your limit order in, hey, buy me Apple at 180. And once it runs up to 200, I want to sell. You can do that all automated and it'll do it for you.
what
And
about if it gets down low? If it gets down low to a certain point, does it have that option as well?
yes, it's called a stop.
Stop.
It's called a stop. People call it a stop loss, but I try the loss in the case that what I do is I buy, just say when I'm trading options, I
Mhm.
buy option. I let it get, hey, I'm not willing to lose no more than 10%. So I put my stop 10% under it.
Mhm.
And then, hey, I want to take profit at 20%. I put my take profit 20% above. But hey, if it start running real good, I might take that 20% profit off and let it keep going up and just put it higher and higher under it. And it'll just kick you out whenever it get to that point. And it's going to sell it automatically. And it's like once I unlock that little bit of the game, so realistically, I can limit my exposure. I can put $100 in, but I can say, hey, I'm only willing to lose five. So I'm
Okay.
really not risking but $5. And that's nothing,
That's
right?
stuff. That's nothing.
That's
Because
not even a cup of Starbucks.
not even actually, it's a refill. So
Exactly.
people buy that every day. People buy their coffee every day. And so I think in the grand scheme of things, somebody that's going for it, this should be their sign to go for
Man,
it.
I'm
Fine,
telling you,
go
because
for
it,
it.
it is just that simple. Because a lot of people, I keep on hearing, well, hey, a Dow lost 2,000 points, the biggest loss in since such and such. Do you know what the Dow Jones is? It's 30 stocks. Do you know how many stocks are on the stock market? Over 6,000.
I
So
didn't
you're
know
gonna
that,
tell
but
me
it's a
about
lot.
20
A lot.
stocks. You're gonna tell me about 30 stocks. And
And
that's
these
why
are
my base.
probably prominent stocks, right?
No, it's just the oldest indice. That's it. It's like a mixture of industrials. You got, all right, so you got different indices. You got the Dow, which is the oldest. You got the NASDAQ 100, which that's basically your tech. You got the S&P 500, which that's the 500 best companies going. And
And
you got the phone
something's going on in the background. And
because
so, you know what?
he
Let's
not losing the money.
right, right. You're not losing it. I think that's where we should close. I'm gonna call you back. I think that's where we should close this at and then start a new conversation because you hear a lot of people say, I lost this, I lost that, which you actually didn't lose it. And you talked about the realized gain and realized loss. You haven't lost it unless you sell.
Exactly.
You have to stay in there and ride it out. This isn't time to get all scared and just go ahead. And so say you invested $50 and then it dropped all the way down to, I would say 20. That's
Mhm.
realistic for a huge drop. And it's going to
Mhm.
come back. And a lot of people would sell that 20 and say, well, I lost this. You did. You lost it. And it's a low and slow. But for our next conversation, I really want to talk about strategy for earning in the stock market and things like dividends and all the little cheat codes that you got going on, because I had to look into this. It's becoming super exciting, super exciting. So let's see. What I'm going to do is bid the people adieu. I don't want to be too structured or anything. I just want to provide people with something to listen to. So I'm going to bid the people adieu,
Gotcha.
tell them bye. So bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.